In the game of marbles, you've got your MIBs and you've got your TAWs. The MIBs are your everyday small marbles that fill your playing area, while your TAW is the larger, fancy schmancy marble that you use as your shooter. And while the big TAWs tend to be the highly prized marbles in a player's collection, there's something to be said about appreciating those little MIBs too. It's a good reminder for outside their marble ring too, I think. And one I learned back in January of 2008 when I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of leukemia. I was 27 years old and cancer was the last thing on my mind. The doctors told me I would need many rounds of heavy-duty chemotherapy and ultimately a bone marrow transplant, and that I had about a 40 to 50% chance of surviving. That March, I spent a month in Princess Margaret Hospital in Toronto, getting the crap kicked out of me by chemo. It sucked, but I was determined to do whatever it took to beat my cancer. And for me, it started with a list. On one of my first nights there, I pulled out the journal my friend Rachel had given me. And at the top of a new page, I wrote the words, "Reasons to Fight." I then proceeded to list anything and everything that came to mind about what made life so awesome and so worth fighting for. And the idea was I would have something I could refer back to keep myself motivated when the times got tough. And before I knew it, I had a list that was 118 items long. Looking back at my list, there's a number of things that stick out. The people in my life certainly made a strong appearance. My parents, brothers, sisters, friends, cousins, aunts, uncles. But the list was also full of life's little simple pleasures and experiential riches. Things like gin and tonics, hiking in the fall, tobogganing, summer road trips, building a fire, slow dancing, writing, beach sunsets, skinny dipping at those beaches. Lying on what could very well have been my deathbed, I wasn't worried I'd miss out on getting a bigger house, fatter paycheck, or sexier job title. I wanted to live so I could continue to enjoy the little, everyday things with the people I loved. Of course, my near-death revelations is hardly a new idea. Philosophers and world religions have long been touting the virtues of living in the moment and appreciating little things. But in our milestone-obsessed society, we tend to look to achievements down the road for fulfillment. I'll be happy when I'm married, when I'm making $80,000 a year, when I have 1,000 followers on Twitter. We become so preoccupied with the destination that we lose sight of the journey, of the adventure in getting there. And don't get me wrong, those big marbles, the TAWs in our life, are important. Goals and achievements and milestones inspire us to be better, to try harder, to reach new heights. But as my list reminded me, as great as accomplishments are, there's tremendous satisfaction to be found in the little MIBs, the moments in between. And I think learning to embrace your MIBs and live in the moment can be a great way to find happiness on a daily basis. I'm happy to report that after many months of chemotherapy, radiation, and a bone marrow transplant, I'm completely cancer-free and doing great. And while going through cancer was a grueling journey, it was an enlightening one as well. It taught me not to pin my hopes for happiness on far-off or one-off accomplishments. It reminded me to live in the moment and help me embrace the everyday awesome, whether it's sunrises, sandwiches, or even a good fart. In short, it taught me to mind my MIBs. If you like this story, check out my book, Misadventure Musings, Lessons Learned from Life's Awesome and Absurd Moments. An illustrated collection of 40 true stories from my life, Misadventure Musings uses humor and storytelling to give practical advice on overcoming obstacles, work-life balance, and more. Find out what being blindfolded and left in a farmer's field taught me about failure. What my so-so odds at beating cancer taught me about asking for help. Or what lying in a puddle of puke taught me about tunnel vision. It's self-help with a sense of humor, personal development with a punchline. So whether you're looking for some inspiration, a few laughs, the perfect gift for someone, or are just really keen to find out what a kayak full of leeches can teach you, visit badgeofawesome.com and order your copy today.